but we got to get out to our man, the third co-host of Wake Up Woodward, who is not here today because he's in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I think he's chilling out by the pool somewhere. You know, I see all the sun in the background.
Don't do this to us.
Must be nice.
Don't do it to us. This is Brandon Dent, our credentialed Pistons beat writer and reporter, Detroit Kool-Aid. Kool-Aid!
Hey, what up, though?
I'm fired up!
What up, though, Kool-Aid? How you doing out there?
I'm doing good, man. It's been a fun time. It's been hot. It's been really, really cool. Shout out to Broder.
I'm in your
seat. Really
seat.
Cool to just kind of be like amongst the NBA and basketball culture, seeing people who are really trying to make it, man. You know, when you play NBA 2K and you do that kind of your path to the league, seeing it on this level and being credentialed to kind of put you on the ground level where you can hear people talking. You hear them talking to their families about their hopes, their dreams, where they hope to make it. You see everybody working hard for this opportunity. It's been cool to see, man.
I love it, Kool-Aid. Before I pass it to Flannel and the crew and we start asking you some questions, what's some of the non-on-the-court basketball things you've experienced, whether it's interviewing players or what is your vibe out there? What's going on?
The vibes have been cool. It's meeting Fred Vinson, talking to my guy, Dwayne Casey.
Nice.
Kind of interacting with Pistons PR, Vince Ellis, meeting some of the other media members, too. This is crazy. This is so crazy. There's a media member from the Houston Rockets, actually, who he sat down next to me when the Houston Rockets and the Pistons were playing, and he looked at me, and he looked at me again. He's like, "You're Kool-Aid." I was like, yeah. He was like, "Man, you're part of like Woodward Sports and Wake Up Woodward." He's like, "I watch y'all every single day." He was like, there was something that happened between, Stephen Silas. He's like really good friends with the old assistant coach, Stephen Silas. He started plugging in, tapping in, and stumbled upon the Woo Crew, man. So
that's awesome, man. A lot of that has to do with you and your networking, the relationships you're building with a lot of these people and the Pistons organization. I don't know, Flannel, if you had a question. I know the Pistons are 1-1 in Summer League.
Yes.
They had game 2 yesterday.
Yep.
Denis Jenkins had himself a day. What's been your takeaway from this team from the first 2 games? I've really enjoyed watching, especially Ron Holland in the first game, but Bobby Klintman in both games. I'm a fan.
You know what? You talked about some of those interactions. I actually got to meet Bobby Klintman's family as well as Ron Holland's family. And Bobby Klintman's family, I just saw these people. They didn't look like they were necessarily from Detroit. They looked like they were from overseas, which they were. Yeah. They were decked out in Pistons gear. And I was like, I know Pistons fans, and they don't even wear the gear like this. And I got to talk to them really quickly, and they're ecstatic. Like, they're all in on Detroit. They're happy that the Pistons really identified him as his talent, traded up for him to be able to get him. And they have a big role in mind for him. It's been cool to see Bobby Klintman just kind of do his thing. I guess the blessing in disguise with Ron Holland missing yesterday's game, just due to rest, was that we got to see Bobby Klintman, Denis Jenkins do a little bit more, get a little bit more opportunity. And they looked really good. Bobby Klintman, he's looking like one of those kind of stretch 4 players that the Pistons will be able to rely on from behind the arc with the ball in his hands. He used to be a point guard before he did his growth spurt. So that boy can pass the rock too. He has all the tools there, but obviously it's summer league, so we temper some things. And then Denis Jenkins, 6'4" guard, best friends, honestly, with Marcus Sasser. He told me that they grew up together, and you guys will be seeing some of the clips. That guy is underrated. Underrated.
I never heard of him, if I'm going to be honest.
He's a hooper, man. What'd you say?
I hadn't heard of him, if I'm going to be honest with you.
I feel bad that I wasn't really tapped into who he was as a player as well. But just seeing him ball, and he's one of those guys that just has that feel for the game, man. Can get anywhere on the court. He's never rattled. He just looks really, really, really composed. And with the opportunities he got yesterday, he took full advantage of it. And the Pistons were down 10 most of that first half until Denis Jenkins got going, as well as a timeout where we noticed the Detroit Pistons changed up their defense. Reed Shepherd of the Houston Rockets, who was somebody we wanted, and Dalton Connect as well. Those boys have been hooping. But Reed Shepherd got locked up yesterday, and Denis Jenkins was one of those guys who was playing defense on him. Pretty tough. It was pretty cool to see.
Hey, sounds great, and I hope you're having fun out there, Kool-Aid. But I wanted to ask the question about Marcus Sasser. What have you seen? Hey, what have you seen from him? Are you concerned, encouraged? What are your thoughts on what you've seen from Marcus Sasser in Summer League?
I'm glad you asked that, because Marcus Sasser is a guy we said, hey, we're not really talking about him when we talk about this young core. And then you see him in Summer League, and it just makes you wonder, is he taking maybe a step back? I got the opportunity to talk to him yesterday after the game, and he did tell me he's specifically working on right now, still staying aggressive, still looking for his shot, but it's not going to be the overarching thing that he's looking to do right now. He's looking to get better as a facilitator and as a playmaker, setting other people up. And one of the most difficult places to do that is in summer league with players who are not full-blown NBA players. And so he's just a point guard who now is reducing his shot attempts. Things that he would normally do where we saw him kind of pop off for 20 points here and there in the NBA. Well, he's getting to those spots. And instead of pulling up, not the mandate, but the focus is try and facilitate. And then he spoke to that saying, the role he's going to play on the team, obviously they want him to shoot threes. Obviously they want him to score. They don't want him to not be aggressive. But to play on this new iteration of the Pistons team, you're going to have to be able to facilitate a little bit better as a 6'1" combo guard. So that's kind of why he's looked the way he has in Summer League. The first half of yesterday, it wasn't the best, but he did end up with, I think, 6 second-half assists. And he looked much better, looked a little bit more composed, played better defense in the second half. But in terms of what I was expecting to see, I thought he was going to hit Summer League like he did last year when he dropped the 40 ball.
Yeah, Kool-Aid, my dog, glad you tapped in with us, man. I wanted to ask you about your takeaways about Ron Holland. I know he didn't play in that second game, but in that first game, he had 15 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists. I know his field goal percentages weren't the best. He was also 0 of 2 from 3. What are your takeaways from Ron Holland in just his first appearance with the team?
The first appearance, I thought it was a decent one. We've seen this before out of Pistons players, and so obviously you temper things. But what I was looking for out of Ron Holland was the type of skill sets that the Detroit Pistons are going to be able to help blossom. They're saying that they're drafting him because of his potential, and that defensively he is already kind of putting in that work. That first game, you could see it's a player for the Pistons. He and Asar Thompson, they're going to be a good tandem when you want to be able to go more defensive-minded rather than offensive-minded with your wings. I want to see him be more assertive, though. I believe that he hurt himself by not just going full-fledged. I wanted to see him go out there and be dominant. I know he likes to pass and all of that, but in a summer league like this, and you're the first overall, the number 5 pick, the first pick for the Detroit Pistons in the draft, you kind of want to see this guy go out there and be what he was in the G League. We all talked about, if you're getting around Holland, look at the volume. The guy was taking 16 shots and hitting over 50% of them overall from the floor. So it's like, if you know the three-point ain't there, I'm not looking for his three-point shot to just magically be good now. I'm looking for that like towards training camp to see improvements after a couple months. But overall, I like his game, but I want to see more. I want to see a little bit more assertiveness. I want to see a little bit more of that dominant mindset that we saw him play with the G League Ignite.
Kool-Aid, what is something that Ron Holland has done in Summer League that you think can translate to what he can contribute to the Pistons this year? Because obviously Summer League and being on the Pistons as a rookie are two very, very different games.
Oh, yeah. I think one of the things the Pistons have been, really lacking, not one. Athleticism is probably the bullet point, and then there's a whole lot of things that have been affected by that. Lack of speed, lack of cutting, lack of lobs, lack of rim runs, lack of transitions. Now you got a player who, at the very least, day one, can come in and play defense, understands the assignment, has an instinct to play defense. How good will he be on the next level? We don't know. On the offensive side of the ball, though, he's not one of those guys that's just like, just stand in the corner and shoot, and if you're not making that shot, then you're non-existent. He's a guy that can put his back to the basket, can get downhill on players and get to the rack. He finished pretty good at the rim as well. He's a guy that when he gets into that mid-range, he just has a feel for the game. Like, he can hit a mix of floaters. He can hit a mix of things like off 2 feet, off one leg. And he finds ways to kind of get to that rack. Now, if he's playing with a Cade Cunningham and playing with some of the dynamic guards and shooters that he will, he's going to have space. And so if he's cutting, as long as he's like one of those guys that's going to go out there and set screens, if he's one of those guys that's filling the empty space, Ron Holland has the skill sets that will be able to be used day one.
Love that, Kool-Aid. And I got one last question for you. And tomorrow for the chat, Kool-Aid's going to be on for 2 segments. He's replacing our Woodward Pistons segment with Rod Beard. We're going to dive a little bit deeper into all this. But we had to see your face while you're out in Vegas right now. I was about to ask you about Tolu Smith, but Doc Macaroon in the chat, had a better way to phrase the question. And don't feel like you need to go towards Smith. He says, who's an under-the-radar player from Pistons people should get to know?
I honestly believe it's Denis Jenkins. How many people know that he's already signed to the Detroit Pistons? He is their two-way player. His coach as well is tapped in, man. He's following Woodward Sports. Followed a couple of us, I believe, actually. And he's like, yo, we here, Detroit. Basically, like, yeah, I know he's a two-way player, supposed to be with the Crews, but our eyesight is for the big leagues right now. And that's a guy that I think you should get to know. He's a hard that Detroit kind of grit to him, that feel. And when talking to him after the game, he's excited, man. He's excited. He said as soon as the draft was over, like Detroit lit up his phone lines. Like multiple people hit him up. And he was like, I couldn't even answer because it was just going in so fast. So I just waited, called them back, and I'm ecstatic to be here. He said Marcus Sasser as well has been a big help for him. His longtime best friend. They grew up in Texas together. And it's Denis Jenkins. That's who you should get to know. Familiarize yourself.
And just to clarify for myself and the chat, it's Daniss Jenkins. Daniss?
Daniss. D-A-N-I-S-S.
Daniss Jenkins. That is Kool-Aid's initial reaction to the question, who's the under-the-radar player for the Pistons to keep an eye on this summer leading into next year. Kool-Aid, we're going to spend some more time with you tomorrow, but, man, this was awesome. So great seeing your face. It feels like a complete show now. Any last words about your time out there in Vegas? And Ryan's reaction says, make sure to take some time and relax. If you can sneak that in.
Yeah.
See some sights.
Hey, you know what? Today is that day. After this, I got Queen Kool-Aid and Baby Kool-Aid. She was going to make an appearance, but she fell asleep. And so we're going to go out. We're going to enjoy Vegas a little bit. There's some family things that we're going to get into. And I'm looking forward to it, man. You know, she came out to support, and so I want to be able to make sure I show her some time. Then I get over to the game, and then maybe we go out and do some dinner as well before we head back tomorrow.
Awesome.
But, I've missed you guys. This has been awesome. I miss the chat family as well. It's been cool to just engage. Shout out to KG. You crushed it on the desk yesterday. And today's show, bro. It's going fabulous, man. This is the Woo Crew. It's why I'm grateful to be a part of the squad because – none of us are promised anything. It's a matter of what the brotherhood does for each other and the fact that everybody on this squad deserves to start. Everybody does. Everybody's so talented. So keep crushing, man. Proud of everybody. Miss you guys. Can't wait to be back.
Kool-Aid, chat. Everyone, that was Detroit Kool-Aid. His real name is Brandon Dent. We call him Detroit Kool-Aid. Thanks so much for updating us on everything, joining us this morning. I'm looking forward to our segment tomorrow, man. Enjoy.
Stay blessed, Kool-Aid. Miss you, dog.
Yep. Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Safe travels.
Blessings, everybody.
Safe travels.
Yes.
Yep. Safe travels.
Yes. So today we're gonna talk more Pistons tomorrow. We're gonna get to break now. Kool-Aid's gonna tell you about the Boys and Girls Club of Southeast.